Know Your Beans, an introduction to the world of coffee.
Hi, welcome to Videojug. My name is Robert Henry. I'm a coffee consultant in the industry. I'm going to show you today how coffee is grown, cultivated, and ultimately how to make it at home. Coffee is grown throughout the world, but primarily you will find it growing in the regions between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. Around this area of the equator, you have the conditions necessary in terms of sunlight, in terms of humidity and rainfall for coffee to thrive and to grow. There are over 60, 70 different types of coffee that are available on the market right now, but the main two are called Arabica and Robusta. Coffee beans grow in the form of cherries, and the cherries grow on trees. They have various different stages of growth. So when you look at a bean on a tree, you won't actually see the bean itself. What you will see is a cherry. And the cherry will appear in different colors. When it's not ready, i.e. when it's underripe, it will look green. When it is ripe, ready to be picked, it will go red. And if it's been left for too long, it actually goes black. So it gives us a good indication of when to harvest. Arabica beans are grown at higher altitudes. In order to harvest them, you have to send someone up there to hand pick them. By hand picking them, you get a higher quality because the person picking them can look at the different colors of the cherry to discern when it's ready to be picked. Robusta beans are grown from sea level typically to about 2,000 feet. This means that in order to harvest them, they're normally on flatter land. You can send in a machine. The consequence of this is twofold. One, it's quick, but the downside is the machine doesn't recognize the difference between the quality of the ripe, the underripe, and the overripe. So you get a lower quality yield. There are two ways of processing the cherry to get to the bean, wet processing and dry processing. We tend to use wet processing for Arabica beans because it's gentler on the bean and it sustains the quality of the actual coffee bean itself. Wet processing is simply how it sounds. The cherries get soaked in a liquid solution, typically water, and it softens the flesh around the actual bean, i.e. the cherry, to the point where you can gently peel away the skin, the flesh, and the parchment to actually get to the bean. Because Robustas tend to be of a lower quality, we use a cheaper process, which is dry processing. This simply involves laying the cherries out on the floor and using the heat of the sun to dry them. They're turned at regular intervals to the point where all the flesh on the cherry is so dry that you can flake it away and get to the bean. Most of the coffees that you see on the high street or in the supermarket is not a single variety, it's actually a blend. When we talk about blends, we simply mean either a combination of Arabica and Robusta or a combination of different coffees from different regions, i.e. you can get a percentage of Colombian, a percentage of Costa Rican, a percentage of Honduran coffee. If Arabicas are such high quality and Robustas are such low, then why use Robusta? Well, one reason is it has twice as much caffeine in it. And another reason is the taste that it can add. You can, not always, but you can get quite a woody taste to it, an earthy undertone, quite smoky. Whereas your Arabicas will be quite winey, quite fruity in taste. Once you actually process your cherry and get to the bean, what you've got is called the green bean. To get from the green bean to the stuff that we use, you have to roast your coffee. And the roasting, the time and the temperature is what determines the strength and the taste of the coffee. Generally, you'll have different types of roasts, i.e. light roast, medium roast, and dark roast. Now, the darker you roast your coffee, the stronger it will get. Why? Because you're subjecting the oils and the fats in the actual bean to the heat for a longer period of time. Lighter roast coffees will be gentler, will have a much smoother taste to them as opposed to the darker roast coffee. Coffee contains caffeine, and caffeine is a stimulant. Like any other stimulant, it should be taken in moderation and in sensible levels. If you have an adverse reaction to caffeine, you can get decaffeinated coffee. This removes a large percentage of the caffeine, but still doesn't impact on the taste, so you will still get a good cup of coffee from it.